Bonanza, 1959 to 1973, is one of the most iconic Western TV series of all time, beloved for its rich storytelling and unforgettable characters. Over its remarkable 14-year run, it launched the careers of many talented actors who brought the Cartwright family and their adventures to life. Sadly, as the years have passed, several of these stars have tragically left us. In this tribute video, we remember and honor the Bonanza cast members who are no longer with us, celebrating their enduring legacies and the impact they had on television and Western genre fans around the world. Join us in reflecting on their lives and unforgettable performances. Lorne Greene, born February 12, 1915, in Ottawa, Canada, was 75 years old when he appeared in Dances with Wolves, 1990, long after becoming a television icon as Ben Cartwright in Bonanza starting in 1959 at age 44. On screen, Greene's portrayal of Ben Cartwright was a masterclass in commanding paternal authority mixed with compassionate leadership, a role that became emblematic of the ideal Western patriarch. His deep, sonorous voice and imposing stature gave Ben a presence that demanded respect without resorting to harshness or tyranny, balancing strength with moral clarity, a man who could quietly hold a family and a community together amid the wild frontier. Yet beyond this iconic role, Greene's off-screen life reveals layers of complexity often overshadowed by his screen persona. Raised in a working-class family in Ottawa, Greene initially pursued careers far from Hollywood glamour, earning a reputation as the voice of Canada for his stirring World War II broadcasts that captured the spirit and resilience of a nation at war. His transition into acting was gradual, and it was his unique vocal timbre combined with a natural gravitas that eventually secured his place in television history. Greene was not just an actor, he was a man who understood the power of narrative and used it to become a beloved figure for multiple generations. His personal life was notably free from scandal, which was rare in Hollywood's golden era. Married twice and a father of three, Greene maintained a low profile, carefully guarding his family's privacy. However, his final years were shadowed by health struggles, culminating in his death on September 11, 1987 at 72. Due to pneumonia complications following ulcer surgery. At that time, Greene's net worth was estimated at $10 million, reflecting decades of diverse work in radio, television, and even music, where he unexpectedly scored a country hit with the song Ringo. This crossover into music showcased a versatility few knew he possessed. Michael Landon's journey from a troubled childhood to television superstardom is a study in contrasts and resilience, beginning with his birth on October 31, 1936, in New York City. Landon was just 23 when he launched into stardom as Joseph Little Joe Cartwright on Bonanza in 1959, the youngest of the Cartwright clan whose charm, impulsiveness, and fierce loyalty made him a fan favorite. However, Landon's off-screen life was riddled with emotional turmoil that contrasted sharply with the affable, handsome character he portrayed. His mother's repeated suicide attempts cast a long shadow over his formative years, instilling in him a deep vulnerability masked by his youthful charisma. Landon's childhood was punctuated by instability, a background that would haunt him even as he climbed Hollywood's ladder. Throughout his career, Landon grappled with the dark side of fame, including persistent tabloid rumors and scandals, many unsubstantiated, that chipped away at his public image and tested his resilience. Yet Landon channeled these challenges into his creative work, evolving beyond acting to become a prolific writer, director, and producer. His later projects, particularly Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven, were imbued with themes of family, faith, and redemption, reflecting his personal search for meaning and healing. Despite his professional success, his personal life remained complicated, marked by 3 marriages and fathering 9 children, a testament to both his desire for connection and the chaotic undercurrents that shaped his relationships. Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, Landon faced a rapid and devastating decline, dying on July 1, 1991, at just 54 years old. His estate was valued at around $40 million, accumulated through his multiple roles across acting and producing, cementing his status as a major television titan. Landon's legacy is complicated but enduring, a man who captivated audiences with warmth and vulnerability, whose life was scarred by trauma and rumors, yet whose artistic vision inspired generations. Dan Blocker's life and career were shaped by an uncommon blend of gentleness and grit, forged in his birth on December 10, 1928, in DeKalb, Texas, in his service in the Korean War, where he was awarded a Purple Heart. At 31, he took on the role of Eric Haas Cartwright in Bonanza, 1959, becoming television's quintessential gentle giant, physically imposing yet emotionally tender, a paradox that captivated audiences and made Haas one of the most beloved characters in TV Western history. Blocker's early years in rural Texas imbued him with a strong work ethic and a down-to-earth nature that translated effortlessly to his portrayal of Haas, a man of quiet strength and deep kindness. Off-camera, Blocker was known for his warm personality, sense of humor, and deep devotion to his family as a husband and father of four. His military service added a layer of real-life toughness and sacrifice that contrasted with his easygoing screen persona. Tragically, Blocker's life was cut short on May 13, 1972, when he died at just 43 from a pulmonary embolism following routine gallbladder surgery, a sudden event that shocked the entertainment world and deeply affected the Bonanza cast and fans. His unexpected death was one of the catalysts that led to the show's eventual cancellation, marking the end of an era. At the time, his net worth was estimated at around $5 million, modest by Hollywood standards but reflective of a steady, respected career rather than flashy celebrity. Blocker's legacy extends beyond his body of work. His children, including actor Dirk Blocker, continue his artistic lineage. The juxtaposition of his battlefield courage and gentle on-screen warmth paints a portrait of a man who embodied the complexity of strength and sensitivity. His death left unanswered questions about the fragility of health beneath the tough Western exterior, and his story remains a poignant reminder of the humanity behind Hollywood's larger-than-life myths. Pernell Roberts, born on May 18, 1928, in Waycross, Georgia, emerged into the public eye at the age of 31 when he was cast as Adam Cartwright, the eldest son of Ben Cartwright, in the iconic television western Bonanza, which premiered in 1959. His portrayal was far from the usual cowboy stereotype. Adam was an architect by profession, a thinker with a quiet intensity, and a man burdened with deep moral questions, attributes that Roberts imbued with a Shakespearean weight rare for television at the time. Yet behind this on-screen gravitas was a man profoundly restless and increasingly disillusioned by the limitations of the very show that had brought him fame. Roberts chafed under the formulaic storytelling and the sanitization of social issues endemic to 1960s television. This dissatisfaction was rooted deeply in his personal convictions, shaped by a childhood shadowed by the systemic racism and segregation of the American South during the Jim Crow era, where he was born and raised. The poverty and racial divides of Waycross left an indelible mark on him, cultivating a fierce commitment to social justice. This manifested most publicly in his vocal support for the civil rights movement, including marching in Selma, Alabama, an act that risked alienation in a conservative entertainment industry. His off-screen life was equally tumultuous, for marriages and a complex relationship with Hollywood's commercialism underscored a man unwilling to sacrifice principle for popularity. After leaving Bonanza in 1965 in protest against its lack of creative ambition and social conscience, Roberts faced an uncertain future but ultimately reinvented himself in the medical drama Trapper John, M.D., where he found renewed success and respect. His battle with pancreatic cancer ended his life on January 24, 2010, at 81, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $10 million, reflective not only of his professional accomplishments but also of a career marked by an unwavering struggle to balance artistic integrity with mainstream appeal. Victor Sun Young, born October 18, 1915, in San Francisco, California, carved a unique niche in television history when he began portraying Hop Sing, the dependable and often humorous cook for the Cartwright family, in Bonanza at age 44. While his character was frequently a source of comic relief, Sun Young imbued Hop Sing with a dignified humanity that transcended the stereotypical roles often assigned to Asian actors during Hollywood's golden age, a period rife with racial typecasting and limited opportunities. His career was a constant negotiation between embracing the visibility his role provided and resisting the reductive cultural caricatures imposed by the industry. Off-screen, Sun Young's talents extended beyond acting. He was an accomplished chef and author, notably of the Great Wok Cookbook, through which he introduced authentic Chinese cuisine to an American audience largely unfamiliar with its richness and diversity. His life was marked by dramatic personal trials, none more harrowing than the 1972 hijacking of a commercial flight during which he was shot and seriously wounded, a traumatic event that left scars both physical and psychological. Despite such adversity and a Hollywood system that frequently marginalized him, Sun Young persisted in building a steady career, appearing in 107 episodes of Bonanza and becoming a beloved figure to fans who admired his warmth and resilience. His death on November 1, 1980 at 65, caused by accidental gas poisoning due to a leak in his home, was sudden and tragic, cutting short a life that had quietly challenged racial barriers. His financial wealth at death was modest, reflecting the limited economic rewards for minority actors of his time, yet his cultural legacy has endured, especially through a scholarship established in his name at UC Berkeley to support Asian American students in the arts. Sun Young's story is a testament to perseverance in the face of systemic racism and personal misfortune, illustrating the complexities of identity, representation, and survival in mid-20th century American entertainment. Ray Teal, born January 12, 1902, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, was a seasoned character actor when he took on the role of Sheriff Roy Coffey in Bonanza in 1960 at the age of 58, becoming a stalwart of the show's moral and judicial framework through 98 episodes. Unlike many who found themselves typecast as Western authority figures, Teal brought to the part a nuanced authenticity shaped by his eclectic early life, which included a career as a saxophonist and bandleader during the vibrant jazz scene of the 1930s. This musical background contributed to his understanding of rhythm and timing, qualities that subtly enhanced his performances. His filmography is vast, with over 250 films including notable appearances in Judgment at Nuremberg and Ace in the Hole, but it was his ability to humanize roles like sheriffs, marshals, and lawmen that made him stand out. Married to Louise Laraway, Teal lived a private, disciplined life away from the Hollywood spotlight, avoiding the trappings of fame that ensnared many contemporaries. His portrayal of Sheriff Coffey was not merely that of a stern enforcer of the law but a figure embodying fairness, wisdom, and dry wit, anchoring the family drama of Bonanza with a steady presence. He became the archetype of the Western lawman for a generation of viewers, shaping cultural perceptions of justice and authority in the American West. Teal died of natural causes on April 2, 1976, at age 74, leaving behind a legacy that was more artistic and cultural than financial, as his net worth was never widely publicized. Yet his contribution to television and film, especially in the Western genre, remains significant, marking him as one of the most reliable and respected character actors of his era whose work quietly influenced the portrayal of American law enforcement and popular culture for decades to come. David Canary's role as Candy Canady on Bonanza, which he began portraying at age 29 in 1967, cemented him as a memorable figure in the pantheon of Western television icons. Candy was the Ponderosa Ranch foreman, a steadfast and morally grounded character whose youthful vigor and unwavering loyalty injected fresh energy into the long-running series. Unlike the Cartwright's more flamboyant personalities, Candy was the reliable backbone of the operation, often negotiating the fine line between law and personal ethics, reflecting the complexities of frontier life. Born on August 25, 1938, in Elwood, Indiana, Canary's upbringing was shaped by a Midwestern work ethic and a natural athleticism that won him a football scholarship, alongside a degree in music, a fact that surprises many who only know him as a rugged cowboy figure. His childhood was relatively stable but underscored by the pressures of carving out a unique identity amid traditional expectations, leading him to initially pursue music before pivoting fully to acting. The trajectory of his career was marked by a quiet resilience. After Bonanza, he transformed into a daytime television titan with his dual Emmy-winning roles on All My Children, a rare achievement that highlighted his versatility beyond westerns. But life was not without its shadows. His eventual diagnosis with Alzheimer's disease was a brutal blow, erasing the sharp mind that had crafted such memorable performances. Despite this, Canary maintained a dignified privacy around his illness, shielding his family from the harsher realities of his decline until his death on November 16, 2015, at 77. He left behind a legacy valued at an estimated $10 million, reflecting a career of adaptability and quiet excellence rather than tabloid scandals. His story is one of steady artistic evolution, from athletic youth to television star, and finally to a man confronting mortality with grace, an often overlooked depth behind the iconic smile of Candy Canada. Bing Russell's portrayal of Deputy Clem Foster starting in 1961 at age 35 brought a sense of grounded lawfulness to Bonanza's turbulent Western landscape. Clem Foster was the embodiment of the archetypal Western lawman, quiet, reliable, and imbued with a stoic sense of duty, balancing fairness with the harsh realities of frontier justice. Born May 5, 1926, in Brattleboro, Vermont, Bing's roots lay far from Hollywood's glitz, in a modest New England environment that instilled in him an independent streak and a passion for rugged individualism. These traits would later define his varied career, which extended well beyond his television roles into a fascinating and rebellious chapter as the owner of the Portland Mavericks, an independent baseball team famed for defying league conventions and attracting devoted fans through sheer audacity. Russell's personal life was marked by his dedication to family, notably as the father of Kurt Russell, yet also by a fiercely private nature that shielded him from many of Hollywood's darker pitfalls. Though his career spanned over 100 film and television roles, he never became a household name on the scale of his son, instead carving out a niche as a dependable character actor with a distinctive presence. His battles were quieter, the relentless grind of steady work, the challenges of maintaining authenticity in a commercial industry, but the terminal cancer diagnosis that claimed his life on April 8, 2003, at age 76 brought a premature end to a life rich in creativity and personal conviction. His net worth, estimated around $5 million, reflected not only his earnings but the savvy management of his ventures. Bing Russell's legacy lives on not just in his performances but in the mythos of the Mavericks, a testament to a man who embraced rebellion in sport and art while maintaining an unwavering moral compass, quietly influencing generations behind the scenes. Troy Melton's involvement in Bonanza starting from the show's 1959 debut showcased the vital but often overlooked backbone of Western television, the stunt performers and versatile character actors who brought authenticity and raw physicality to every scene. At 38, Melton was not the leading man but a relentless force, filling roles from gunmen to blacksmiths with a gritty realism that grounded the Ponderosa's wild world. Born March 2, 1921, in Jackson, Tennessee, Melton's early years were shaped by the Great Depression and rural hardship, forging a toughness that later translated into his stunt work, where precision and fearlessness were essential. His Hollywood career extended beyond Bonanza to some of the era's most iconic productions, including Dirty Harry, Blazing Saddles, and Star Trek, where his stunts created moments of cinematic thrill that remain etched in popular memory. The physical dangers of his work were substantial: broken bones, near misses, and the constant risk of career-ending injury, but Melton's professionalism and understated dedication kept him in demand for decades. Off-camera, he lived a remarkably scandal-free and private life, a rarity in an industry often rife with turmoil, quietly supporting his family and staying out of the spotlight. Despite his crucial contributions, Melton never amassed great wealth or fame. His net worth remains largely unreported, overshadowed by the stars he doubled for and the narratives he helped build. Yet his legacy is palpable in the very DNA of Western and action filmmaking, a testament to the countless unsung craftsmen whose grit and skill made the stories come alive. His death on November 15, 1995 at 74, in Los Angeles marked the passing of a true Hollywood workhorse, one whose life embodied the grit, sweat, and resilience behind the glamour of the Old West mythos on screen. Bruno V Soda, born March 25, 1922, in Chicago, Illinois, entered Bonanza's rugged landscape at the age of 39, portraying a gruff but sharp-eyed bartender, credited simply as Bruno, who who became a familiar fixture in the saloon scenes from 1961 onwards. On screen, his character was no mere background presence. V. Soda's bartender embodied the rough social fabric of the Old West, a man who saw and heard everything, lending a subtle depth to the Ponderosa's bustling hub. Yet behind this on-screen persona was a complex life shaped by Chicago's tough working-class neighborhoods during the Great Depression, where his early years were marked by financial hardship and exposure to a gritty urban reality that later infused his performances with authenticity. V. Soda's passion for the arts extended beyond acting. He was an influential figure in early Chicago television, pioneering roles as a writer, director, and producer at a time when TV was still in its infancy. Notably, he carved out a niche in cult B-movies, especially in the realms of science fiction and horror, directing several low-budget films that later gained cult status, revealing a creative mind restless for experimentation outside mainstream Hollywood. Despite these artistic achievements, V. Soda remained largely under the radar of celebrity culture, shunning scandal and publicity in favor of a modest personal life. His career was a balancing act, fluctuating between steady TV roles and the uncertain terrain of independent film work, leading to financial insecurity that was common among character actors of his era. Health issues eventually struck, culminating in a fatal heart attack on September 24, 1976, when he was only 54. Though his net worth was never publicly disclosed and he left behind no massive fortune, his legacy endures through the rich tapestry of roles that highlighted his versatility, as well as his behind-the-scenes contributions to television's formative years, an unsung pioneer whose impact rippled quietly beneath Hollywood's glitz. Roy Engel, born September 13, 1913, in St. Louis, Missouri, assumed the role of Dr. Paul Martin on Bonanza at age 46, introducing a voice of calm wisdom and compassionate authority that resonated deeply from the show's earliest episodes in 1959. Engel's Dr. Martin was more than a town physician. He was the moral compass in the turbulent, often violent landscape of the American West, a character reflecting Engel's own grounded and steady persona cultivated from his Midwestern roots. Raised in a large, working-class family, Engel experienced early hardships that taught resilience and humility, traits he brought into his extensive career spanning over 150 films and nearly 800 television episodes. Before Bonanza, he gained fame as the original radio voice of Sky King, a beloved children's show hero, marking him as a versatile performer able to bridge multiple entertainment media during a time when radio was giving way to TV. His recurring roles in popular Western series like Gunsmoke and The Virginian further entrenched him as a quintessential figure in American frontier storytelling. Off-screen, Engel led a largely private life, devoted to his family and respected by peers for his professionalism and kindness. However, his life was not without struggle. He battled health problems that culminated in meningitis, which took his life on December 29, 1980, at 67. Financially, Engel's estate and net worth were modest, reflective of a career built on solid but supporting roles rather than stardom. Yet culturally, his imprint on mid-20th century American media was significant, embodying a generation of actors whose work helped shape the nation's collective imagination of the West, all while quietly enduring the pressures and demands of an often unforgiving industry. Harry Hulcom, born November 11, 1906, in Malta, Ohio, arrived on the Bonanza scene in 1969 at age 63, portraying Dr. J.P. Martin, whose grandfatherly warmth and professional steadiness brought a soothing presence to the later seasons of the series. Hulcom's portrayal was not mere typecasting but a reflection of a career steeped in decades of performance and direction, beginning with his roots in Chicago's golden age of radio where he was both actor and director, honing his craft in a medium that demanded subtlety and clarity of voice. His transition to film and television saw him appear in a variety of genres, from the cult classic King Kong vs. Godzilla to the darkly satirical Empire of the Ants, demonstrating a range often overshadowed by his gentler commercial roles. Yet, it was as the genial grandfather in Country Time lemonade commercials that Hulcom achieved a form of cultural immortality, becoming a symbol of trust, kindness, and familial warmth that resonated deeply with American audiences during the 1970s and 80s. Raised in a modest Ohio town, Hulcom's early life was shaped by the values of community and perseverance, which he carried through his long marriage to Betty Nielsen, a rare Hollywood union marked by stability and privacy. Unlike many contemporaries, Hulcom navigated the perils of fame without scandal or significant personal tragedy, choosing instead a quiet life enriched by involvement in church and local causes. His financial standing remained modest, reflective of a career built on reliability in character roles rather than stardom, but his cultural influence is subtle and enduring. He epitomized an archetype of gentle authority and benevolence that helped anchor Bonanza's narrative world. Upon his death on September 15, 1987, at 80, Hulcom left behind a legacy defined not by headline-grabbing fame but by decades of dependable artistry that quietly shaped American pop culture, a testament to the power of character actors who bring depth and humanity to the stories that define eras. Phil Chambers, born June 16, 1916, in Los Angeles, California, was an actor whose career never reached dazzling heights but carved out a respectable and enduring niche within the Western genre, particularly through his recurring appearances on Bonanza, which he joined in 1962 at age 46. On screen, Chambers often portrayed the everyday figures of frontier life, store owners, clerks, and townspeople, roles that might seem modest but were vital in giving Bonanza's sprawling mythos a grounded, authentic sense of community and realism. Behind this low-key screen presence was a man profoundly shaped by the turbulent events of his era. Chambers served honorably in World War II, an experience that instilled in him discipline, resilience, and a quiet strength that would inform both his personal and professional life. Following the war, he used the GI Bill to attend UCLA, embodying the post-war veteran's pursuit of reinvention and stability in a rapidly changing America. Hollywood welcomed him not as a star but as a dependable character actor, one whose steady work ethic made him a familiar face on numerous classic television series, including Gunsmoke, The Twilight Zone, and The Mole People. Chambers's career was marked by professionalism and a scandal-free reputation, a remarkable feat in an industry often rife with personal drama and public controversy. His personal life remained largely private, and this discretion likely contributed to his modest, undocumented net worth. Yet the understated legacy he left behind is rich in cultural value. Chambers was one of those unheralded performers who breathed life and authenticity into the ordinary characters of the Old West, providing the connective tissue that made Western narratives believable and compelling. His story exemplifies a generation of actors who shaped American television's golden age from the periphery, quietly supporting the storytelling without ever commanding the spotlight themselves. Chambers passed away on January 16, 1993, at the age of 76, leaving behind a career defined by earnest craftsmanship and integrity, a veteran-turned-actor who quietly helped to define an iconic American genre with authenticity and respect. Lane Bradford's rugged visage and intense performances on Bonanza and beyond embodied the quintessential Western antihero, a man forged through hardship and physical challenge both on and off screen. Born August 29, 1922, in Yonkers, New York, Bradford's life journey was steeped in grit and perseverance. Joining Bonanza in 1959 at the age of 37, he quickly became known for playing hardened gunmen, ranchers, and lawmen, characters whose toughness masked a more complex humanity. His prolific career included over 250 appearances across films and television, such as Gunsmoke, Rawhide, and Death Valley Days, making him one of the most recognizable tough guy actors in the Western genre. Bradford's career was deeply influenced by his World War II service, an experience that instilled in him a resilient spirit and steely resolve. Beyond acting, he was a skilled stuntman, frequently performing dangerous feats that added visceral realism to early Western productions but also exacted a physical toll. Off-screen, Bradford's life was marked by a quest for peace and reinvention. He retired to Hawaii where he lived aboard a boat and took up the ukulele, perhaps seeking solace after decades of embodying violence and conflict. However, his life was tragically cut short by a cerebral hemorrhage on June 6, 1973. At just 50 years old, leaving behind a legacy of dedication and raw intensity. Despite his modest net worth, his contributions to Westerns were vast and enduring, as he helped define the archetype of the conflicted, morally ambiguous frontier figure whose hard exterior belied deep personal struggles. Bradford's life story reveals the often unseen human costs behind the glamour of Hollywood's golden age westerns, a man who gave everything to his art and paid the price in body and soul, remaining an influential figure for generations of genre fans and actors. Robert Folk, born May 5, 1908, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was a multifaceted artist whose impact on Bonanza and American television reflected a lifetime of dedication to craft and a rare blend of artistic and practical skills. He was 52 when he first appeared on Bonanza as Deputy Sheriff Clem, and over 13 episodes portrayed figures embodying the law and order essential to the fragile morality of frontier life. Unlike many actors who came to westerns from purely theatrical backgrounds, Folk's path was distinctive. He was a trained architectural draftsman and stage director who had worked with Broadway legend George Abbott, a fact that reveals a sophisticated understanding of structure and storytelling that he brought to his performances. Throughout his extensive career, which included roles in Lassie, Green Acres, The Rifleman, and Perry Mason, Folk demonstrated an extraordinary ability to adapt, moving fluidly between genres and character types with a quiet professionalism. Married to actress Barbara Slater, he maintained a stable personal life away from the Hollywood spotlight, embodying the role of the consummate professional rather than a celebrity. His death on February 25, 1989, at age 80, marked the passing of an actor whose legacy was not measured by net worth or tabloid fame, but by the subtle strength and integrity he lent to his roles. His characters reinforced a vision of American values rooted in fairness, justice, and resilience during a period of social upheaval and change, making him a cultural touchstone for mid-20th century television audiences. Folk's story, largely untold in popular narratives, highlights the essential contributions of character actors who create the moral texture and emotional resonance that allow stories like Bonanza to endure across generations, ensuring his influence quietly persists in the history of American entertainment. Though time has passed, the laughter they gave us still echoes. The cast of Bonanza brought joy to millions, and even though some of them are no longer with us, their performances live on. As we remember those we've lost, we also celebrate the legacy they left behind, one that continues to entertain and connect generations. Thank you for joining us in honoring these unforgettable stars. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tributes to the legends of television history.